Good evening, everyone, and welcome to today's live stream session hosted by the Indian Pharmaceutical Association Students Forum, that is IPA-SF Pune Branch, in collaboration with Preps Minds. It's wonderful to have such an enthusiastic group of pharmacy students and aspiring professionals joining us today. Before we begin, let me take a moment to introduce me. Myself, Ruchita Ranazanzare, a fourth year pharmacy student from Dr. D.Y. Patil Institute of Pharmaceutical Sciences and Research, as well as a consociate of IPSF Pune Branch, and I'll be your host for this session. Before we begin, let's get to know you a bit better. If you're watching live, feel free to drop a quick comment in the chat. Tell us your name, where you're from, and which exam you're preparing for, that is GRE, IELTS, or TOEFL. Thank you to everyone for sharing your thoughts. It's inspiring to see such a motivated community. Today's session is designed to help pharmacy students navigate three important exams, that is, the GRE, IELTS, and TOEFL. These exams are not only key milestones in your academic and professional journey, but also gateways to higher studies, global career opportunities, and professional licensure. By the end of this session, you'll be actionable strategies and resources to excel in these exams, bringing you closer to achieving your goals. A special thanks to Prep Minds for partnering with us to bring this valuable session to you. Founded by Ms. Manisha Shrivastava, Prep Minds is an educational organization specializing in coaching and preparation services for competitive exams like the GRE, IELTS, and TOEFL. They offer expert led sessions, academic strategies, and study materials to enhance your performance and help you achieve your study abroad aspirations. Today, we are joined by Mr. Shreyam Shrivastava, sir, an accomplished investment consultant with experience at top firms like KPMG and Mercer Consulting. Sir has earned his honors in finance from the prestigious Delhi University. Beyond corporate success, Shrivastava sir is a passionate educator and a key figure at Prep Minds as the academic strategy associate, where he specializes in GRE, IELTS, TOEFL preparation. Sir is not only an expert across standardized tests but also an innovator in test prep by developing 15 plus full length and sectional GRE mock tests that replicate real world testing standards. Sir's own journey, scoring 320 plus on the GRE and mentoring countless students, is a testament to his expertise and dedication to education. He's also the author of Prep Minds Triple Two and has helped students achieve top scores and admissions to prestigious universities with his data driven approach and innovative materials. Sir's wealth of experience, innovative teaching methods, and strategic approach to exam preparation makes him the perfect guide for today's session. A warm welcome to IPSF Pune, sir. Now it's time to get started with today's discussion. I'm excited to speak with Shrivastava sir, whose wealth of expertise is going to provide us with so many insights. Let's kick things off with a brief overview of this exam. So, can you explain why exams like these, GRE, IELTS, and TOEFL, are such crucial milestones for students seeking global opportunities?
Hi, Ruchita. Sure. So, firstly, a very good evening to everybody watching this session. Thank you for joining us on a Sunday evening, taking out your prestigious time, where on the other hand, you'd have rather spent it enjoying. I'm sure that everybody here is here to learn, is here to understand the depth of these exams and to take the first step to further their careers. It gives me immense honor to be a part of this session and to help students like yourself take the first step. I am also reminiscent today because it was only a matter of few years back where I was on the other end of the table listening to somebody like this talk about these exams. And I can assure you for that reason that all of you will leave this session enriched, right? So, Rosita, thank you for such a beautiful welcome. That makes me feel great. All right. So coming to your question about these exams like GRE, TOEFL, and IELTS. So I don't really think of these as solely exams, right? So in my opinion, these are, you can consider them to be a passport of your international education and career growth, right? So they aren't just your academic hurdles, they are gateways, right? So these exams serve as gateways to move further in your journey of foreign education, right? So I will take one moment to elaborate on all three of these exams. So the GRE exam, right, which is the graduate record examination, it is a widely taken exam, right, and it is usually used for people who are planning a master's or PhD in fields like science, business, or technology, right? So GRE specifically highlights your ability to handle critical thinking, analytical approach, data analysis, and structured writing. So all of these attributes are essential for advanced studies and leadership roles. Uh, in the near future, in the near past, GRE has also now begin to become accepted by leading B schools in India and abroad, like IIMs, ISBs, and the M7 schools back in the US, and multiple other schools across the globe. So that's about the GRE. Moving on to TOEFL and IELTS exams. So these are English proficiency tests, right? These test your ability to communicate in the English language. Now, don't get me wrong. By communicate, I don't just mean speak, right? Communication is a broader spectrum, right? So it is an umbrella term which involves speaking, reading, writing, and listening, right? So these exams, they are designed in such a way that they test your ability to excel in communicating in the English language, right? Because a lot of universities abroad do not want language to be a barrier in your education. These exams don't just stop at university admissions, let me tell you. uh, a lot of misconceptions revolve around, okay, I give the exam, I go to university, and I'm done. No, these also help you land jobs. They are also an integral part of your future interview processes. A good score on the IELTS, TOEFL, or the GRE reflect multiple skills which will be useful in the jobs that you undertake, right? Like communication, problem solving, discipline, and global readiness, right? So these are skills that are widely tested and preferred by employers across the globe. Okay, so I would basically conclude this answer by saying that if you are to excel or if you are to do exceptionally well in these exams, you are not just telling the university or you're not just telling your future employer that I am interested. You're telling that I am prepared and I am capable. It is that level of commitment that makes your application stand out.
Thank you so much, sir, for giving the overview of these exams. Like, I'm sure all the audience which we have might have got what exactly these exams are. So, let us move on to the next question. Could you share with us how these exams help students achieve their dreams? Whether it's studying abroad, working in another country, or even securing scholarships, what's the bigger impact these exams have?
Okay. So this is an interesting question now. So what happens for a lot of students, they consider these exams to be their first barrier, to be the first barricade. Now that is the thought process that we need to change. All right, do not look at these exams as your barricade, look at these exams as the first step towards transforming your dreams into reality, right? Because it is what we need and it is what we will have to do. No use fretting it, right? So let us change our thought processes and become a little more positive, a little more optimistic, and look at them as the first step towards transforming your dreams. Okay, so how these exams help you, right? What apart from getting a score, what do they do? How do they actually help you? So I will break this down into three key areas which will be relevant to all of you, right? The first one is access to top universities. All the universities across the globe have certain criterias, right? Now these universities may be divided into multiple stratas. Some might be exceptional, some might be all normal, and some might be tier 3, right? But each university has a eligibility criteria. Scoring well on these exams or performing, giving your best shot on these exams will grant you access into a plethora of universities that you can then choose from, right? So these exams like TOEFL and IELTS are accepted in multiple countries outside India, including US, UK, Canada, and Australia. And GRE is also now accepted in India, besides every other country outside our nation, right? So a strong GRE score will definitely help you land a prestigious university, right? So, and a higher IELTS and TOEFL score, they demonstrate that you are language ready, right? That you will not shy away from group discussions, you will not shy away from participating in classroom lectures, debates, competitions, etc., right? So universities will always prefer an applicant who is well rounded, right? A lot of people in India might have exceptional academics, but an overall personality is what universities look at, and these exams are your first testament towards that, right? The second part would be scholarships and financial aid, right? So a lot of scholarships, including countries abroad and India, depend upon your merit, right? How meritorious are you? How worthy are you of receiving a financial assistance to complete the program in question, right? So merit based scholarships look at your entire profile, and a higher GRE or IELTS score definitely makes your application stand out, right? So reputed universities like University of Notre Dame and Oregon State University in the US, they specifically emphasize on your GRE and IELTS score as a part of scholarship criteria. So the math is very simple: a higher score, higher chance of you getting a scholarship, right? I'm also sure that a lot of you must be aware of something called as a graduate assistantship, right? So these are opportunities that universities give you to teach or to conduct research for the university, and in return, they may provide fee waivers or fee reductions, right? So in essence, these are basically scholarships, and you are also getting a job that can well fit on your CV, right? So your application to such opportunities will also be determined by how well you're performing on these tests. An external scholarship like INCLAC scholarship, Shevling scholarships, etc. There are multiple scholarships out there that are provided by universities in US, UK, Australia, that consider your GRE and IELTS score. So yes, it will getting a good score will help you lower your entire tuition fee, will help you lower the cost, and help you take up a degree which will now be more affordable, right? So and lastly, career opportunities. Like I told you, these exams are not just restricted to uh, your university admissions. They also include your future employment opportunities, right? So requirement of work visas in Canada and Australia I'm sure all of you must have heard that you require TOEFLs or IELTS score. Multinational companies seek, skilled labor, which is fluent in communicating with international clients and teams, right? So your performance gives a testament as to how you are going to perform at that company, at your future role, right? So in conclusion, I would say that these exams level the playing field, whether you're from Pune or you're from Paris, right? They give every student a fair shot at global opportunities, right? They represent hope, possibility, and courage. So yes, that's this is how these exams have a bigger impact than just eligibility criteria.
Thank you so much, sir, for answering this question. Like, whatever I think I've got is not just giving the exam is like, important. Like, we should also try to get a higher score, right?
Absolutely correct, Rachita.
Yeah. So now let us tackle something every participant here is curious about. What exactly are these exams like? I remember being overwhelmed by all these acronyms and sections when I first heard about them. Like, could you walk us through the structure of the GRE, TOEFL, and IELTS? What should participants expect in the terms of sections, timings, and question types?
Absolutely. All right. So, Richita, talking about your overwhelmed reaction to acronyms and to jargons in these exams, well, it is very justified. It is very natural, and I have seen countless students come to me saying that, "Oh, I don't understand this word. I don't understand that. How am I going to move ahead?" Well, trust me, it is just a process. It is just a matter of time before you yourself will begin using these words that you call fancy these days. You yourself will begin using these words and you will leave your friends in awe. All right. So I've had multiple cases, and I continue to see students like that. All right. Moving on to test structure of these exams. So we will discuss the structure of these exams one by one. I have noted the structure down in a very concise and efficient manner in the slides. So to all the participants out there who are who are attending this session, in case if there is any doubt, any question regarding the structure, I think it would be appropriate that you put in your questions and I can tackle them right now, because we are on the slides of the structure of the exam. And feel free to take a screenshot, to take a picture of the structure, and come back to me later if you have any questions about the exam. So let's dive right into it. Right. So let's first talk about the IELTS test. Right. So the IELTS test is, like I told you, very English proficiency test. It is very famous. I'm pretty sure all of you must have heard it. It is widely accepted in Canada, UK, US, Australia, Germany, and multiple places, right? So let us talk about this. Now, this test is of a total duration of 2 hours 45 minutes, and your total possible score ranges from 1 to 9 bands. Okay, no marks, no points. It is bands, right? So very obviously, band 9 being the highest, that you are an expert user, and band 1 being the least, that you are a non-user of the language. Okay. So this test consists of 4 primary sections, right? Now, these 4 sections are then further divided into multiple sections, but 4 primary modules, as we call them: listening, reading, writing, and speaking, right? So let us quickly look at each module separately and try and understand what we may come across in this test. So in the listening module, this listening module lasts up to 30 minutes, right? Your total duration is of 30 minutes, and you will see 4 sections, right? You will see 4 sections within the listening module of 10 questions each, right? So these 4 sections usually revolve around: one being a friendly conversation, two, the second section being a monologue, the third section being an academic conversation, and the fourth section being an academic monologue. Now, you will have to listen to the recording and figure out the answers simultaneously. You will not be given time after the recording is done. You will be given time to transfer your answer into your answer booklet, but you will have to come up with the answer while you're listening to the recording. Another interesting fact, or something that makes IELTS a little bit more challenging, is that IELTS is not restricted to US accent. Okay, you will find American, you will find British, you will find Australian and German, even Russian accent at times. Okay, so this is something that makes this section a little interesting, right? Moving on to the reading section. Now, the reading section is a 60 minutes long section, right? And it has this section has no transfer time. You will have to read the passage, answer the question simultaneously. Okay. Again, the reading section is of three sections within the reading section, three modules within the reading section, uh, in order of difficulty. The first passage being the simplest, and the last passage being the not so simplest. I'm not going to call it the hardest, I'll say not so simplest, right? So it is an order of difficulty, and again you will see around 8 to 10 questions in each passage. Okay, that's about the read. Also, the reading passage, the questions, the passages here are taken from well authorized published articles. Okay, so the reading passage has a little bit of jargon. Not a lot, a little bit, right? Then moving on to the writing section, right? The writing section yeah, is again a 60-minute exercise, and it has two essays. You are required to answer two essays, right? The your task one is you are given a prompt and you have to reply to that prompt appropriately. Okay, you might be given an issue, for example, what do you think of women empowerment in today's corporate world, right? So you will have to come up with your own response. You will have to defend your stand that no, I second women empowerment, and this is how things should be. You will have to substantiate what you're saying. All right. The second task is that you will be given a graph, or you might be given a pie chart, or you might be given a map, right? And you'll have to look at that map, you'll have to look at that diagram, understand what it is trying to say, and then pen your answer down. I have a small anecdote about the writing section of IELTS. One of my students, I think last year, so the word limit is around 150 words for the second task, and surprisingly, that student had completed the writing task in 75 words. Now, while I was going through, my feedback was, please increase the word limit, right? So the student goes back, and the graph pointed out the year 1991, 1992. So what the student does is, instead of writing numeric 1991, the student writes 1991 in terms of words, and that's how she tried to increase her word limit in the writing section. So no, that's not what you should do. It was so this is a small anecdote that I often recollect when I'm talking about the writing section. All right. Moving on to the speaking section. Now, the speaking section is an interesting section because in the IELTS, you have to speak in front of a examiner, right? The examiner will be right in front of you, and he or she will be asking you questions. Now, the questions will be very simple, right? The first section, the questions will be introductory in nature. What is your favorite hobby? Why do you like that hobby, right? What is something you would change about that hobby? Questions like this. Your second task will be a small speech, right? A small speech about a particular topic. And your third task will be questions that follow the speech. So that is about the IELTS test format. So yes, are there any questions at this point about the IELTS test format?
Yes, audience, if you have any questions, please put them here in the comment box.
Right. So, Rudita, I guess the IELTS test format is pretty clear. People, please feel free to take a screenshot and come back to me later if you have any questions. Right. Coming to TOEFL. Now, TOEFL and IELTS are more or less on similar. They have similar formats. just a little bit of discrepancy in terms of the reading, writing, and speaking sections, and we'll see what that is. Again, even in the TOEFL test, the test is of 2 hours, right? It's a shorter test, and the total score possible is between 0 to 120. And Nivedita, yes, how can we prepare for such test? Wonderful question. I will just come to that point as well, right? So talking about the TOEFL test format, starting with the listening section. The listening section is of 36 minutes, and it has three lectures, which are classroom discussions, and two conversations. Now, each of these lectures and classroom discussions are 5 to 6 minutes long, right? Which makes the entire time duration to 36 minutes. The scoring scale for the listening scale section will be 0 to 30 points. Moving on to the reading section. The reading section is shorter in comparison to the IELTS. The IELTS was 60 minutes. This is 35 minutes, right? So within this 35 minutes, you have two passages. In the IELTS, we had three. Here you have two passages, but here each passage is 700 words long, right? So it's a pretty lengthy passage. And again, these passages are picked up from well vetted published articles. So they have a little bit of jargon associated with them. Okay, similar scoring scale, 0 to 30 points. Now, moving on to the writing section. Here writing section is considerably very short on the TOEFL. It is 29 minutes, right? It is only 29 minutes as compared to IELTS, which was 60 minutes. In the writing section, we have two tasks, right? The first one is you need to write based on a reading or listening of a passage, right? So you need to give your opinions, you need to give your understanding of a passage that is presented to you, or a listening voice note that might be presented to you. You will have to read or listen to it and respond appropriately, again maintaining the same kind of understanding, right? Maintaining your ability to substantiate your opinion is what stands out, right? You cannot blindly claim that government should give more jobs to youth. Why should the government give more jobs to youth, right? Is there a need of more jobs? Is there an excess of supply of labor that the government should be able to cater to? Why is that happening? That why becomes very important, right? Then the second part is right to express and support an opinion, right? Again, similar to the IELTS test, you will be presented with an opinion. Now you will have to write your opinions to support it, right? For example, I remember, should companies hire employees from outside or do internal promotions, right? What do you think? It's a very abstract, very abrupt question, right? So you now, it is your job to frame it, right? To bring it into an answer, to bring it, to articulate your thoughts and present it, right? So that is a key at the writing section. Again, 0 to 30 scoring scale. Speaking is 16 minutes long. That's it here. Four tasks, right? Where you will have to express opinions on a familiar topic, and the next three tasks will be based on what the examiner has heard, right? When you have expressed your opinion, I'm sure the examiner is going to have counter questions, right? So you will have to answer those questions. Now, one stark dissimilarity between IELTS and TOEFL is that on the TOEFL exam there is no examiner, right? It is recorded. There is no examiner and it is recorded. So this is a very key point that you need to consider. If your dream university is accepting both IELTS and TOEFL, which one will you take? Are you comfortable in front of an examiner, or are you comfortable in front of a recorder, right? So this is where your thought process comes into play. Okay. Um, Right. So that's about the TOEFL test format. And again, please feel free to take a screenshot of the same. Right. Moving on to the most dreaded test among students these days, that is the GRE. I think a lot of this dread comes from the fact that due to COVID, a lot of universities had waived off GRE, but now nearly 90% has reinstated the GRE. So it has again become a mandatory requirement for students to actually take the GRE test. Now, while that might be a turn off, some ETS has come up with a great news about the GRE exam. Earlier, the GRE was 4 hours long. You had to sit through 4 dreadful hours, but now they have released the shorter format, which is only 1 hour and 58 minutes, not even 2 hours. Okay, so that is a big save to all the students who were dreading the GRE. Right, sitting for 4 long hours versus sitting for 2 hours reduced by 100%. Right, so uh, this is a good news for all the potential GRE test takers. And although the difficulty level has not changed at all, okay. So people thinking, oh, now the GRE is short, the GRE exam is easier. I'm sorry, you will have to spend the same number of hours. You will have to spend time practicing building concept to score well on the test. But yes, your test fatigue is sufficiently reduced, right? So rejoice while you have the time. Okay, talking about the GRE test. The GRE test is divided into three main types, or three main sections, which is the verbal aptitude, AWA, which is the analytical writing assessment, and the quantitative aptitude. The score ranges from 260 to 340, right? So even if you leave your GRE at not even a single question answered, you will still get a 260, but that means a zero. Okay, so don't do that. So 260 to 340 is your score range. Now this score out of 340 is the combined score of only verbal and quants. Your AWA section is not included in your score out of 340, right? It is not included in your score out of 340. Your AWA is graded separately out of a score of 6, right? 0 to 6 is your grade on the AWA, whereas your score out of 340 comes from your verbal aptitude and quantitative aptitude, with 170 and 170 to each sections. Okay, so let's quickly understand what verbal and quantitative aptitudes are. The verbal aptitude now is only 41 minutes long, whereas earlier it was 1 hour long. It is only 41 minutes long, and it consists of two sections. The first section is of only 12 questions, and the second section is of 15 questions, right? So there are three major question types on the verbal aptitude, which is text completion, sentence equivalence, and reading comprehension, right? I will not dive deeper into what each of these are, because it would, in the interest of time. But on a very generic level, I would say that these are a enhanced level of fill in the blanks, text completion and sentence equivalence, where you will have to understand the sentence, understand its context, connotation, and choose a word appropriately. Reading comprehension, as the name suggests, right? We have to read a given passage and answer questions. Now, here's where the trick is. I'm sure all of you must have heard that GRE is difficult, GRE verbal is difficult, it is very convoluted, you have to learn a lot of words. Well, I won't disagree totally. Okay. GRE verbal is a little challenging, but that is what makes this exam interesting, and that is what shows your ability to perform well in the program that you will get enrolled to. The passages taken for GRE reading comprehension are not from articles. They are from well published, peer reviewed journals. Okay. They are from scientific academic journals. So they contain a lot of jargon, right? There's a lot of jargon, and there is a lot, there are sentences, languages that we don't understand, right? You and I don't speak English the same way, right? We speak English in a different way, and they might present English to you in a different manner, right? So that is where a little bit of difficulty comes in. And I'm sure all of you have must also be thinking that what about vocabulary, right? It is the most dreaded part of the verbal aptitude. Well, 6 7 years back, GRE was all about vocabulary, right? It was very vocabulary focused. Thankfully, it has changed right now, and it is not the case. GRE is not extremely vocabulary focused. It is now more about your ability to comprehend and analyze the situation. Does that mean we overlook vocabulary? Absolutely not. To score a 160 or a 165 on the verbal, there is no particular range that I can give you. You can mug up the entire Oxford dictionary and go, and still you will find a word that you don't know. Okay, so that is not the way we approach verbal aptitude or vocabulary on the GRE. But if I am to give you a ballpark, anywhere between 800 to 1000 words are still required for a good score on the verbal aptitude, right? The score ranges from 130 to 170 points, right, on the verbal. Moving on to quantitative. Now the quants is 47 minutes long, and the math or the quantitative part here is, please do not, a lot of people have the misconception that trigonometry, calculus, and all of this are part of your quant section. They are not. Class 8 to class 10th mathematics is what is tested on the GRE, right? But the questions are convoluted. The questions are not simple. They are not as simple as you have seen in class 6 and 7. They are pushed up a notch. Okay, so topics like fractions, percentages, decimals, coordinate geometry, area, perimeter. So these are questions that are tested. Now, while I say these topics out loud, a lot of you might be thinking, "Oh, that's it. I don't even need to bat an eye." Well, not really. Okay, so the questions are convoluted. They go in depth and test your understanding. If you understand, when you write 9.9 bar, what does that bar mean, right? Why is that decimal recurring? Why is it happening? Okay, so good question. Uh, a good answer to that why question is required for you to score well on the quants test. Okay, so four major question types: quantitative comparison, MCQ, multiple answer question, and numeric entry, right? So again, not diving deeper into what is quantitative comparison, I'll just quickly give you an idea. A quantitative comparison question is a question where you have a question stem and you have quantity A and B. You are required to choose which quantity is greater. Are they equal, or you cannot determine it using the given information. So this is how GRE tries to, you know, push your difficulty up a notch. Okay, so that's about the quantitative question. Moving on to the final test. Moving on to the final section, which is the AWA. It is 30 minutes long as compared to 1 hour in the previous test. You have only one task, which is an issue task, right? Where an opinion is given and you are required to respond to it, right? Different from IELTS and TOEFL, you are required to respond to it in a much more mature manner, right? What is the question that is asked? Why is that question relevant? What is your stand? Why is your stand valid? How will you substantiate it? What will happen if you negate your stand, right? So these are multiple layers that one needs to dissect into giving a decent answer to the AWA question. Okay, it is scored between 0 to 6, right? GRE is the only GRE amongst the three exams. GRE is the only exam which provides you with an on-screen calculator. You are allowed to move between sections. If you're in a verbal section, you can move between question 1 and 15, 1 and 2, 1 and 3. But you cannot move from verbal to math and math to verbal again, right? You can't do that. And then there's a mark for review. If you don't understand a question, mark it, come back to it later, right? Do not waste your time or getting emotionally attached to a question. Ye to main la kar hi rahunga. I have to get this question. No, that's not how this exam works, right? So that was the GRE test format. Any questions? I'm up for it right now, and please feel free to take a screenshot of the test format.
Yes, anyone wants to ask related to the structure of the exams?
Okay, so I think Ruchita, I'll take this question. Nikhil has asked, is there negative marking in all three exams? No, Nikhil, thankfully there's no negative marking. So please make sure that even if you do not know a question, attempt it. right? Inky pinky ponky also, if you don't know it, just do it, right? Attempt it and come. Do not leave any question unanswered, right? On a serious note, please don't do inky pinky ponky. Take an intelligent guess, right? Okay, Prapul Reddy. Yes, so regarding that, I will definitely, we will talk about that. And I also have something planned for you towards the end of this session. Please stick around and I will give you all the necessary details. Thank you. Akshat, how does skipping a question on the GRE affect your overall score? Well, there's no penalty for skipping a question, right? The only thing that will happen is that you will not be awarded marks for that particular question. Okay. And yeah, so that's about it. Otherwise, it won't affect your, in no other way, it will affect your test. But again, as I mentioned, I will reiterate, please do not skip a question. Take an intelligent guess, answer every question on the test. All right. Thank you for the questions.
I think we're done with the questions. So let us move to the next question. Now that we have covered with the exam formats, let's talk about something many of us wonder. How do you decide which exam to take? For example, some students are unsure whether to choose IELTS, TOEFL. So, what factors should aspirants consider when choosing the right exam for their goals? Are there any misconceptions you have encountered along the way while advising the students on these?
Yeah. So again, great question. Thank you. How should one choose these exams, right? Like, why? Which exam should you give, right? What is your main motive behind these exams? Now, firstly, I'll talk about a few misconceptions that have come along, right? The first misconception I'll talk about is the GRE, right? A lot of people think that the GRE exam is difficult, or the verbal is undoable. It is not for Indian audience. Absolutely untrue, total garbage, right? That is not correct. Okay, a lot of people have scored exceptionally well in the verbal section of the GRE. They have scored a 170 out of 170, which is considered to be it is the highest number that you can get, right? And the math section, however, considerably is considered slightly easier for Indian audience, given our inclination towards the STEM fields, right? So the math section is considered a slightly easier, but again, that is a very risky situation to take, right? Because I have personally mentored students from prestigious engineering colleges like IITs and have seen them struggle with the quant section. Okay, so like I reiterated, it is not math, it is quantitative aptitude. It is your ability to critically analyze the question that is given to you, right? So while the topics might be very simple, very similar, but it is your ability to analyze. Okay. Now, so that is one thing about the GRE exam, that no, irrespective of your educational background, your efforts is what will pay off on the GRE, right? Not your educational background, not your prerequisite knowledge, right? Second thing is that a lot of people consider TOEFL to be simpler than IELTS, right? Again, a misconception that there is no simplicity. Like, you cannot compare oranges to apples, right? So these are, although they are English proficiency tests, but they are designed separately. At one point or the other, they will make up for the difficulty level. For example, in the IELTS section, in the IELTS test, in the speaking section, you have an interviewer in front of you, whereas in TOEFL you don't. So for a lot of people, TOEFL becomes easier, right, in that manner. But in the reading section of the IELTS, where the first two passages are small and the third passage is large, right? So the first two passages are comparatively simpler, whereas on the TOEFL, both passages are 700 words long. So it requires a big amount of attention span to make sure that you stick to what you're saying, or you stick to what you're reading. Okay, so they make up for the difficulty level. There is no difficulty, there's no exam that is easier. All the exams require effort, all the exams require dedicated practice. Okay, now, how do you choose which exam to take? So the first thing that you decide, the first thing that you will do is decide what you want to pursue, right? Or what is your goal? Do you want to go abroad for foreign education, for higher education? Do you want to go abroad to work? Do you want to go abroad to settle? What is your actual goal, right? Once you have decided that, let's just say that since all of you are students here, let's just say that you want to go abroad to pursue your higher education. Now, your next decision will be which country, right? Which country are you looking at? UK, US, Australia, Germany, where, right? Because all these countries have separate requirements. Certain universities in the US accept students with a IELTS band as low as 6, right? But certain universities in the UK mandate a 7.5, right, on the IELTS. So you decide your geography, which country do you want to visit. Third, the third thing that you do is you decide what you want to pursue, right? So since you are pharmaceutical students, right? So pharmaceutical engineering, masters in pharmaceutical engineering, or something related to the an amalgamation of technology and medical field, something in biotechnology, nanobiotechnology, oncology, right? So what do you wish to do? What kind of masters do you wish to do, right? For let me give you a small comparison. Let's say there's a student who wishes to pursue aerodynamics from Princeton, right, or MIT, or astrophysics from MIT, and there's a student who wishes to pursue, let's say, literature from MIT or Harvard, right? Now, both these students will definitely require a GRE exam, but the student wanting to pursue an astrophysics degree from MIT will have to get a 169 170 on the GRE, right? Because that is the 169 170 on the quant section of the GRE, right? That will be the baseline criteria of all the other applicants, right? Everybody applying to MIT looking to get into astrophysics will have a score of 165 plus on the quants, nothing less than that, right? Whereas for somebody wanting to pursue literature, a higher verbal score will be required, right? So it is very important that you choose which kind of what kind of degree that you want to pursue. What do you want to do, right? The fourth and the final step is that you narrow down your universities. Okay, now it is very understood and justified if you get overwhelmed at this step, right? Because there are thousands of universities out there, right, that are offering exactly the program you need. Which university to select? Why do you select that university, and what will you get out of it? There are multiple questions that you need to ask, so it is a detailed research process, right? It takes time. You are investing in your future, you are investing in what your life will be in the coming future, right? So it takes time, it takes maturity, and it takes dedicated research to figure out what you want. Once you have completed all these four steps, right, once you have completed these four steps, then you check the eligibility criteria. Do they require a GRE? Have they waived off the GRE, or have they reinstated it? Or do they require a GRE for to enable you to get a scholarship, right? Why have or do they require IELTS? What is the minimum IELTS score? What is the minimum TOEFL score, right? So there are multiple questions that you will ask yourself. Once this entire process is completed, then you fixate, okay, this is the exam that I wish to take, right? So once you have to do a dedicated research, and if in case there is at any point you face difficulty, we are there to help you. It is our business to ensure that your future is secure, right? Yeah. So that was about how you would choose between these exams.
Thank you so much, sir, for clearing like which exam exactly we need to choose. Like what I think is first we need to target which university we are looking for, and then we can see which exam to take, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we'll move to the next question. This is the part everyone's been waiting for. How do we crack these exams? I'm sure many of us here are feeling a mix of excitement and anxiety as they think about preparing for these tests. The pressure is real, but with the right strategies, success is possible. What are some of the most effective strategies for preparing for these exams? And could you recommend any resources they have made a difference for students you have mentored?
Absolutely, Ruchita. So, firstly, you very rightly said the pressure is real, but with the right steps, success is possible, right? And that is what we believe. That is what our motto also at Prep Mind is: transforming aspirations into reality, right? That happens with the right steps. Okay, so I now each exam is different in itself, and each exam requires a different study plan, right? So not diving very deep into it, I will give you a brief overview of what some effective test taking strategies are and which can be utilized for all three exams, right? So the first one is to understand the exam, and this is the point everybody misses. 99.9% of students that I have mentored do not focus on this part, right? Always remember, no matter which exam you are giving in life, study the exam before you study for the exam. Okay, make sure that you know the exam inside out, right? You know it like the back of your hand. Okay, okay, so now I know 12 questions for in the first section of the verbal GRE, and I have to attempt these many to get the harder section, and this is exactly what I have to do, right? So this kind of thought process should run in your head while you are attempting these exams. So it is very important that you study the exam before you study for the exam, right? Which include test structure, the timings, right? Prerequisites, are there any prerequisites? Do I need certain level of English efficiency for IELTS and TOEFL? Do I need certain level of mathematics basics for the GRE, right? What all do we need? Okay, and that is exactly why, to emphasize on the first part of the test taking strategy, we at Prep Minds always begin our journey with a diagnostic test. So every student that comes to us is required to take a diagnostic test. This is a test that you do not prepare for, right? You go to sleep today morning, wake up tomorrow and give the test with whatever random knowledge you have, whatever existing knowledge you have. You give the diagnostic test. This will help you understand where what are your strengths and weakness, and it will help us better to mentor you, right? For example, if Ruchita gives the diagnostic test and doesn't score that well on geometry, I will know for a fact that I have to emphasize geometry when I'm teaching Ruchita, right? So that is why we always begin with the diagnostic test. Now, creating a study plan. So these are 6 steps that you should follow. Okay, for any exam, you should be following these 6 steps. First one is jot down the weak topics and approach them first. After the diagnostic test, understand what are your weak topics and practice them. Build your concepts there first. Attack them first, right? Like it's as the name of a very famous book goes, eat the frog, right? Eat your frog, eat the most disgusting, the most uh, unlikable part first, right? So do that first. Second, always work on concept building over problem solving. Okay, do not focus on getting the answer right on the test, right, during your preparation phase. That is not your goal. Your goal is to build concept, right? Your goal is to understand that if a parabola is upward facing, why is it upward facing, right? What is a parabola? Why does it have a graph that looks like that? Okay, that is your intention. That is your goal. That is problem. That is focus on concept building again in the preparation stage. Focus on concept building over problem solving. Okay, and go back to basics if necessary. No harm, no foul. Okay, go back. You don't understand fraction. You don't understand what is 1/2. Go back. Look why. What is 1/2, right? How can you make factors of 1/2? What are like fractions? What are unlike fractions? There's nothing wrong with that. Go back. Okay. Third, it's prioritize consistency over volume. Okay, make sure that even if you're studying 1.5 2 hours a day, do it every day, right? End moment पे आखिरी के एक हफ्ते में you cannot cram everything, right? These are not exams that will get you through, right? I have been through college, especially in a university like Delhi University, and I know what cramming is, right? And trust me, these exams don't work this way. You cannot cram it down in a week and give your test, right? Fourth is begin by focusing on accuracy and then aim to master timing. First, ensure that you get your answers right. Right? You're doing fractions, make sure you get all the fraction questions correct. Timing is irrelevant at that time. Once you get your accuracy intact, then we focus on timing. Right? अगर एक क्वेश्चन 2 मिनट में कर रहे हो, now we will focus on getting it down to 30 seconds, 1 minute. How can you do that? What are the tips and tricks behind it? Right? Then, fifth one, mock tests are indispensable. I cannot emphasize this enough. Mock test is absolutely required. Simulating the conditions in which you will take the test, simulating that test environment, simulating those questions is very, very, very essential. Okay. The last point is set small goals, achieve them one by one, and you will rock the test. Right? Coordinate geometry nahi aata. I don't even know what the equation of a line is, right? Leave everything. 3 दिन सिर्फ coordinate geometry. I will only do coordinate geometry. Make sure you master coordinate geometry. That is your goal one achieved. धीरे 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 करके the entire test will be achieved. Okay, and you will rock the test. Trust me on that. I have seen that happening. Right? So that is creating a study plan, and then practice, practice, practice as much as you can. Do not shy away from practice. Do not shy away from hard work. Your educational background will not help you. Your prerequisite knowledge will not help you. The only thing that will help you is your practice. Yeah. So these are some test taking strategies. Moving on to certain free resources that you can use for preparation, right? For the GRE is the official ETS guides that are available, the official guides, the Manhattan Prep 5LB book, right? So it is a comprehensive book of both verbal and quants question. Over 1,000 questions are given in that book, and it is a wonderful book, right? We teach that book at our institute as well, right? And it will prepare you for your exam in every which way possible. Okay. The lastly is our own proprietary book, which is Prep Minds 222. It is a vocabulary book with 222 absolutely mandatory words, right? It is available on Amazon and Flipkart, and it is a wonderful book for your vocabulary needs. For TOEFL, the official ETS TOEFL guides, TST Prep YouTube channel, very simple, easy to understand. Noteful. Noteful is an application that is excellent for speaking and writing strategies. It is going to help you. IELTS list is a free YouTube channel, right? That you can go out there, look at it, and prepare accordingly. Great content. Uh, Official Cambridge IELTS book, right? It is the standard material. We teach that book at our institute. And the E2 language app. Great. It is great for test simulation. So these are certain free resources that are widely available on the internet, and please make sure that you make the most out of them. Apart from that, when there's guidance required, when there is guidance involved, Prep Minds and myself, we are always here.
Thank you so much, sir, for providing us the strategies as well as the resources which will help for preparing the exams. So let us move on to the next question. Preparing for these exams isn't always smooth sailing, right? These are the days when it feels like nothing is working, and you experience moment of doubt, stress, and frustration. But that's when strategies come in, right? What are some common challenges students face during preparation, and how can they overcome these hurdles?
All right. So yes, the frustration, anxiety, saturation is all very real. And trust me, friends, in this journey, you will encounter all of these, right? And that is what makes this journey interesting, right? That is what makes it worthwhile. If it was very simple, then universities wouldn't have, uh, you know, instated this, right? So yes, all that is real, and every student out there, including myself, when I was preparing, faces these challenges. But I will answer the last question first. How do you overcome this? Is practice, 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 right? A lot of practice is required in terms of question, in terms of concept building, in terms of understanding the exam. Once you do all of this, once you organize the mess of thoughts in your head and you bring it down, is what really helps. Two is what I have observed in my own journey and in a lot of students, is that guidance from a mentor really helps, right? When you are walking an uncharted terrain, right, when you don't know where, suppose you are in a different city and you want to go from place A to place B, how do you go? You take a cab or you drive, but you use something called as Google Maps. All of us do that, right? So using a guide, using a mentor really helps. Somebody who has been there, who has been there, done that, who has lived that journey, can tell you what to do, and more importantly will be able to tell you what not to do. Okay. So yeah, so that these are a few things that I have encountered in my tutoring journey, and these are things that have really helped students out there. And yeah, before I think we move on to the next question, so I I have a few success stories from your own fraternity. So these were all pharmacy students, right? So as you can see in one of our review, the Ashita Reddy, she was an aspiring pharmacist who joined our IELTS program with concerns about time management, right? With customized classes by our expert faculty, especially Rajesh sir, she quickly gained confidence and improved her skills. And this is exactly what she says. One of the best coaching centers for IELTS classes were customized and appropriately planned. Reinstating my point for guidance, right? For mentorship. And her success is proof that with right support, anything is possible. Similarly, Sushrita Dasari, right? She was also a pharmacy student who scored a band 7 on her IELTS test, right? Opening doors to her dream university, right? She says that the coaching classes were very convenient and learning basics was is very good, and she scored a band 7, right? And her journey showcases how the right guidance and hard work can transform aspirations into achievements, right? Which is what we at Prep Minds believe. And Sulakshi was another pharmacy student with a dream of pursuing her MS. Right, she wanted to pursue her MS in the US. She joined Prep Minds to prepare for her IELTS test and ended up scoring an impressive 7.5. Okay, her success is a testament to right preparation can transform aspirations again into achievements. All right. So these are a few examples. These are a few out of the countless examples that we have catered to students uh, like yourself, right, from pharmacy and medical backgrounds, who have successfully chartered these tests and achieved their dream goals.
Thank you so much, sir. What I feel is now the only mantra for succeeding such test is practice, 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 and get guidance from the institute like Prep Minds.
Absolutely. Yes.
So I'm sure everyone here would love to know more about your own journey, sir. I imagine you have had your fair share of challenges along the way. So could you share your personal experience with these exams? Like what kept you going and what advice would you give to all the aspirants as they embark on their own test prep journey?
Right. In this case, I would tell you that I have a good share of experience with these tests, right? And in my personal journey, I was lucky enough to give both the older GRE and the newer GRE, right? And score at 320 plus on both these tests. Now, something that stands out for my in my journey is how I approached the test in the beginning and how my approach turned towards the end, when and how I decided to tutor students as well. Okay. So when I approached the test, my at the first time when I approached the test, I did not although I was a math graduate, right? I had math in my graduation. I had math in my class 12th, and I was a national rank scorer in mathematics CBSE class 12th. So I was good at math. But when I approached the GRE, I found that I did not even know the difference between what an integer and what a rational number is. Okay, so that was my condition when I started preparing for the GRE. Okay, and I thought that I was great at math. I solved RD Sharma, RS Agarwal, every damn book in the bookstore, and how could I not know this, right? So that is how I begin with math, right? And I was lucky enough at that time to get tutored by Manisha ma'am herself, right? So she emphasized, I found it very quirky, I found it very unreal as to why should I go back to decimals, why should I learn fractions again, why should I learn what a subject is, what a predicate is, why do I need all that? But her consistent, you know uh, emphasis on that made me think, okay, maybe I need to go back, right? So that is something that I realized is extremely important, which is when I gave the newer GRE and my approach to the exam completely changed. Okay, obviously I was well prepared because of my previous experience, but my approach to exam took a different turn. I was no longer interested in getting the answer right. Okay, fortunately I was able to get the answer right. My approach began, how can I get the answer easily, right? What would be the most simplest way, right? And trust me, often a lot of times the most simplest way is the most direct way. Okay, the most direct way of solving a question, the most direct way of approaching a question is the simplest way. And the GRE is a test that will test the simplest of basics, right, in a convoluted format, right? So that is how my approach changed, and that is when I also realized the importance of the material given in the official guides, right? I did not pay much heed to it. I thought, okay, concept clarity, big deal, I know what it is, right? But when the second time when I looked at why a graph is forming, right? Why is a modulus graph stretching outwards, right? Why is a parabola downward facing, right? So these are instances that prompted me to answer the question why, and that bolstered uh, my understanding of concept building. Okay, so that really helped, and I always say, and I'll keep saying, that the entire credit goes to Manisha ma'am. She was a great mentor, and I would like to believe that in the process of mentoring me, she not only created a good student, but also a good mentor to other students as well. So yes, that was about my journey, and yeah. So this is what Prep Minds is all about. This is a small example of the recognitions that we have got. The last photo is of Manisha ma'am receiving her award from the daughter-in-law of Kotak Mahindra. The first is the recognition from the Ministry of MSME, Government of India, for Prep Minds' contribution to education, and multiple such awards, multiple such feathers that kept adding to our cap of glory. But none of these awards, none of these recognitions compare to the satisfaction that we get when a student comes up and tells us, "Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. You have helped us. You have helped us achieve what we wanted." That is the pinnacle of success at which Prep Minds is.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your personal journey and lessons learned along the way. Your experience really helps us see the challenges are part of the process, but with the right mindset, success is achievable.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed speaker, Mr. Shreyam Shrivastava sir, for sharing his invaluable expertise and practical strategies on GRE, IELTS, and TOEFL preparation. Your
Thank you,
insights
Ruchita.
on overcoming challenges.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
Ruchita, I'm sorry to cut you. I'm sorry to interrupt. I There's just another thing that I would want to add to all the students, to
Yes,
all
sure.
the prospective students that are attending this section. We have floated, we have come up with a freebie that we from Prep Minds would want to extend as a token of gratitude, right? So I am sharing the link for this freebie, the a link for this Google form with the esteemed panel members, and I would request them to float it to the wider audience. And you can put in your details, and you will receive your free guide to the IELTS, TOEFL, and GRE exam. And we will be happy to answer any other questions that you might have, right? And in order, so coming back to one of the questions that I received, in order to get in touch with us regarding any doubts or any clarifications about the courses, about the exams, your university admissions, please ensure that you get in touch with us using the contact number that I have also shared with the panel members, and they will. I hope that they pass it on to you, and we will be happy to help you out there.
Sure, sir. We'll be sharing all this with the audience.
Yeah, thank you.
So now, audience, it's your turn. This is the part where you get to ask anything and everything that's on your mind about these exams. While we wait for your questions to appear in the chat, here's a fun one. If your test prep journey were a meme, what would it be? Let's see your most creative and funny ideas in the chat box. Come on, audience. Let's do this. Yes, audience. Any questions regarding these exams? So, personally, I have a question to you. Can I, sir?
Yeah, definitely, Ruchita. Go ahead.
Like, if I if we have our regular academics, right? So, how would I balance preparing for such exams and my academics together? Because it is a tough challenge, right? And because I am a doctor of pharmacy student, so it is like too much
Yeah.
for me.
No, Ruchita, I totally understand, and I also understand your concern about your academics and the exam prep, the contents being completely divergent, right? So, in this case, uh, a lot depends on your motive, right? What is your motive to give this exam, and how badly do you want it? Okay, how badly do you want a good score? How desperately are you determined to get into your dream university? And if that purpose or if that motive is strong enough, then in that case, my suggestion is that try and take out an hour, right? Be it early in the morning, be it late in the evening, whenever your mind is fresh. So the entire day you do things related to your degree, right? So maybe early in the morning when your mind is fresh, take out an hour and a half, right? And devote a little bit of time to your exam prep, but make sure that you do it on a daily basis. Again, consistency is the key. You will not be able to cram it at the end, right? So every day, thoda 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 thoda.
Thank you so much, sir, for answering the question. So, let us move to the comment section. Nivedita says, I know, sir, nothing is impossible, but can you tell what is the probability of cracking these tests?
Nivedita, the point with these tests is that there is no fail or pass. Okay, so you can either uh, you can either score lower or you can score higher. So what you mean by cracking this test is that scoring a is scoring a good score, right? So let me tell you about the GRE exam and the variation that we see. Okay, so for example, you score a 160 on quants, right? That gives you around the it gives you the 76th percentile, right? 160 on quants give you the 76th percentile. That means that you have scored better than 76% of students, right? And so this should give you an idea of the kind of competition that there is. Now in terms of probability, uh, well, I would say it is a direct relation to your hard work. Okay, how many hours you're able to put in, and not only hard work but your strategies, how sound your strategies are, right? You can keep studying for 24 hours a day and yet achieve nothing if your strategy is not in place. Are you approaching the exam with the right mindset? Are you approaching the exam with the intention of scoring a higher score, right? So these are all factors that will determine how well you are doing. And to yeah, so probability of cracking the test is directly proportional to the kind of uh, efforts you put into it. As simple as that.
Thank you so much for answering, sir. I'm sure Nivedita have got the answer. Next is Prapul Reddy. She says, Sir, validity of IELTS and GRE. Wanted to start my classes. Please let me know how to connect with you or share PrepMind's contact number.
Right. So, Prapul, I have shared the contact details with the panel and they will share it with you. I don't have the option to share it in the comments. But apart from that, what another thing that you can do is you can visit PrepMind's page on on the Google, and you will find a contact number there, and you can call us. We will be more than happy to guide you with anything that you will need, right? And if you want to connect with me personally, you can find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, and uh, Facebook, I guess. So yeah, so I'll be happy to help you, but you can type Prep Minds on your Google search bar and you'll find it right there.
Thank you so much, sir. So next, Nikhil says, GRE TOEFL needs hard work? No, it needs smart work. Absolutely right,
Abs-
Nikhil. So
Absolutely.
next is Chaitra Kulkarni. She says, Sir, I wanted to ask about how to choose the right course for masters. Any advice?
Right. So, Chatra, there are multiple layers to it. I'll quickly tell you a few, right? I'll give you a few actionable points. One is, what is your undergraduate, right? What undergraduate are you doing, right? Is it a tech focused field? Is it a research focused field? Is it an action focused field, right? What is that you're doing? Two is the kind of country that you will be working in, right? If you wish to work in India, or do you wish to work in US, UK, where do you wish to work, right? And in suppose, for example, in India, we are more STEM and engineering focused, whereas US is a good balance of everything, right? So what is your geography? What is your preferred geography? Where do you wish to work? Three is that once you have decided on these two aspects, then you will be able to narrow down the degrees of your choice, right? Do you want to do, for example, an MS in data science, or do you want to do an MS in biotechnology or nanotechnology? What do you want to do, right? So once you have narrowed these degrees down, then you look for the employability aspects, right? Is there sufficient employment in that geography for your preferred degree, right? For example, from my knowledge, employability for nanotechnology is limited in India, whereas there is a large scope for nanotechnology in Germany. Okay, so in that geography, your preferred degree, what is the employability? What is the chances of you getting a job, right? So these are some factors that you will consider before you choose the right course for your masters.
Thank you so much, sir. I hope Chaitra has got the answer. I have another question for you, sir. Like, what are the key mistakes students often make while preparing for these exams? Like, and how can we avoid those mistakes?
The first and foremost mistake that students make is not giving due importance to these exams, right? So a lot of students think that English hi to hai, math hi to hai, we'll be able to sail through, right? So that kind of delusion is not very appreciated, because it will harm you in the longer run, right? So make sure that you understand the gravity of efforts needed to crack these exams and work in that manner. Second thing is to prepare for these exams without any strategy. Okay, again, not guidance but strategy. There are countless resources on the net, right? You just type GRE and you'll get lakhs of videos. Now, which one to look at, what to do, should you change your resources, what resources to consider, what to not consider, right? So there is a lot of mess. So make sure that before you start your preparation or in the journey, you have sorted that mess out, you have filtered it out, and you've come to a decent conclusion, right? So yeah, these are two major things that yeah, another thing is that students often jump from resource to resource. ठीक है, कि ये नहीं काम किया तो इधर जाते हैं, ये this doesn't work we'll go here, this doesn't work we'll go here, this doesn't work we'll go here. No, you cannot jump, you cannot change resources, you cannot take other different opinions, right? So for example, you come to us for your coaching classes, we talk to you, we counsel you, we get you inducted into the program, and we start your training. Okay, now at any point you feel a little lost, the worst thing that you can do is jump to another institution, because they will start right from the beginning, right? In that case, what do? You come to us, or you go to, or suppose if not us, maybe any other institution, you go to them, you tell them that I am not able to understand what's going on, right? Or I am facing a difficulty in this aspect, please clear it, right? So stick to the resources that you have combined. Yeah, these are a few mistakes in my opinion.
Thank you so much, sir. Any more questions? Let me check. So, Sarah, I have a question. Sir, what strategies can we use to overcome challenges in listening comprehension tests, especially for any accent or speech styles we are not familiar with?
Wonderful question, Sarah. So this is, a persisting a persisting problem with a lot of students, is that they face difficulty, right? In terms of understanding the question or understanding the accent. In that case, what you can do is, watch certain Netflix shows or listen to podcasts which contain different accents. Okay, again, actually this question reminds me of another anecdote. I think it was a GRE batch class, and it was a second class, and I asked the students, so all right, so what did we do in the last class, like what how have you worked towards your GRE exam? And I asked one student to tell me what she did to has she completed the given homework or not. And she had not completed the homework, and I asked her playfully, so what did you do, like what did you do for the GRE? She was like, sir, I watched Netflix. Okay, so watching Netflix is a good thing, and I know I suggested this, but that is not your study material. All right, so make sure that you know the difference between watching it for educational purpose and just watching, binging Netflix. So yeah, that's that. Also, I think now I am able to share the Google form in the wide with the wider audience, and I am sharing it with you guys. Please make sure that you fill it, and we will have then we might be able to send you the freebie that we have planned for all of you, along with our contact number.
Our team will be sharing that, sir, if you want.
Okay, all right, yeah,
Yeah.
great.
So, thank you, everyone. I think all the questions are done from the audience side. So, thank you all for your thoughtful questions. I hope all your queries have been addressed thoroughly. So, before we conclude today's session, I would like to call upon Mr. Pushkar Panchabhai, our International Relations Officer, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thanks, Ruchita. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of Indian Pharmaceutical Association Students Forum Pune Branch, my co-head Saira John Thomas and I, Pushkar Kishore Panchabhai, International Relations Office Head, extend our heartfelt gratitude for your participation in today's session on GRE, TOEFL, and IELTS guidance. A special thanks to our esteemed speaker, Mr. Shreyam Shrivastava, for sharing invaluable insights and preparation strategies which will definitely help benefit the aspiring students for their abroad education. Your expertise and encouragement have greatly inspired us also. I would also like to express my heartfelt gratitude to the Prep Minds organization for their invaluable support in helping us put this YouTube live session for all the curious minds out there and aspirants. We also appreciate our host, Miss Ruchita, for conducting the session which, with such an energy and professionalism, ensuring a smooth and engaging experience for everyone. Lastly, a big thank you to the Indian Pharmaceutical Association Students Forum Pune branch core team and our enthusiastic participants for making this session a success. We wish you all the very best on your journey to study abroad and stay connected with the IPSF Pune branch YouTube channel for more updates and session. Have a great evening. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Pushkar. Thank you, Rajita. Thank you to all the audience that took the time out today. It was great talking to all of you.
Thank you so much, Pushkar, for the vote of thanks. As we come to a close, I just want to remind you all that taking the first step by being here today is already a huge achievement. These exams may seem daunting, but with the right strategies, preparation, and mindset, success is absolutely within reach. To conclude today's session, we have gained a clear understanding of the GRE, TOEFL, and IELTS exams, the preparation strategies, and how to overcome any challenges we might face. Whether you are aiming for higher education, international work opportunities, or scholarships, these exams are powerful stepping stones to success. For any further queries or follow up questions, feel free to share your feedback or questions in the comments. And don't forget to stay connected with IPSF Pune branch for more such events. Until then, wishing you all the very best for your preparation and future endeavors. Stay inspired, stay determined. Thank you. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.